Bab el-Mandeb. A container ship is on fire. The weapon was not a missile, but a one-way attack drone launched from over 100 kilometers away. Stay with me, because how this happened, what it means for every container on the water, and why multi-billion-dollar warships can't stop it is the story of a new era of warfare. The Bab el-Mandeb Strait is not just water. It is the 18-mile-wide artery connecting Europe and Asia. Over 20,000 vessels transit this choke point annually, carrying roughly 12% of all global trade. This single point of failure is a foundational assumption of the entire global supply chain. An assumption that just proved false. The system that guarantees your Amazon delivery depends on this passage being safe. It is no longer safe. Let's talk about the weapon. It is not a sophisticated military asset, but a synthesis of commercial parts. The total cost is under $2,000, less than the price of a single television in the cargo hold it threatens. Its warhead is small, maybe 20 kilograms of explosives. Not enough to sink a ship, but more than enough to disable it. The goal is not destruction. The goal is paralysis. Let's talk about the target. A modern container ship is a marvel of efficiency, not a vessel of war. Its radar is designed to avoid collisions with other ships, not to detect a low-flying carbon fiber drone. Its crew is skeletal, often fewer than 25 people operating a 400-meter vessel. There is no armed guard. There is no close-in weapon system. There is only vulnerability. The ship is a floating spreadsheet, a collection of assets. It was never designed to be a target. This is the core of the problem. The system that powers globalism is operationally fragile. Now, other ships are approaching the strait. Their captains are receiving the news. Their companies are making calls. The decision is made. They stop. Let's talk about the mathematics of defense. A single warship, like the USS Carney, is a technological fortress, costing over $2 billion. Its interceptors, like the SM-2, cost upwards of $2 million per shot. $2 million to kill a $2,000 drone. This is not a sustainable economic equation. The problem is not the single drone. The problem is the swarm. A destroyer has a finite number of interceptors in its vertical launch cells. The attackers can launch drones until the defenders run out of missiles. This is depletion math. One warship cannot be everywhere at once. Every prioritization decision produces a coverage gap, and the drone only needs to find one gap. The system that was supposed to prevent this did not. Let's talk about the economic cascade. The first failure is physical. The second is financial. Maritime insurance premiums for the region don't double. They increase by a factor of 100. Suddenly, it is cheaper to sail an extra 6,000 kilometers around Africa. Maersk makes the announcement. Then Hapag-Lloyd, then MSC. The cascade is now systemic. The choke point is effectively closed. This adds 2 weeks to every shipment. It burns millions of extra tons of fuel. It removes 10% of global shipping capacity from the market because the ships are busy sailing longer routes. The price to ship a single container from Shanghai to Rotterdam triples overnight. This cost is not absorbed by the shipping company. It is passed on to the importer, to the retailer, to you. The integration that makes the system efficient is the same integration that makes the damage catastrophic. Let's talk about the response. The Pentagon announces Operation Prosperity Guardian, a coalition of the willing designed to reassure the shipping industry. But the insurance companies do not change their rates. The shipping lines do not change their routes. Because military presence does not eliminate risk, it only manages it. And the logic of capital does not operate on managed risk. It operates on certainty. The military vocabulary of deterrence has collided with the financial vocabulary of liability. Liability won. So the warships patrol an empty sea, and the world's commerce takes the long way around. Factories in Europe start to slow production. Tesla, Volvo, Suzuki all announce shutdowns because their just-in-time supply chains have been broken. The system that kept shelves stocked worked. The system that was supposed to keep the ships moving did not. A $2,000 weapon has inflicted billions of dollars in economic damage, without starting a major war, without a single soldier crossing a border. This is infrastructure warfare in the 21st century. Here's what this means from this morning forward. It means the era of assumed safe passage, the bedrock of globalization for 30 years, is over. It means every choke point, Hormuz, Malacca, Panama, is now a potential front line. And it means the great powers have lost their monopoly on strategic disruption. The threshold for paralyzing global trade has been lowered from a state-level capability to a non-state actor's budget. The wreckage is real. The economic damage is real. What destroyed the system was the dispute over who should pay for the risk. The blueprint for globalization had no entry for this kind of asymmetric vulnerability. The assumption beneath it was not questioned until it was broken. Thresholds, once crossed, cannot be uncrossed. The weapon is out there, the tactic is proven, the vulnerability is permanent. Bab el-Mandeb. The choke point remains open, but the passage is closed.